Well, hello.
Hello. Hello.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
No complaints.
Can't complain. Better than I should be. Better than I deserve. Come on, Darcy. Come say good morning to everyone. Come on. It's not gonna bite.
It's a good try.
Are you gonna come over here, Darcy? Dutch! Come here.
You got him in the corner there.
Can you see him a little bit?
Just behind the little name tag. Just see the little white stripe moving back and forth.
There we go. That's all you really need. Oh. I'm glad we got him engaged. Hold.
He's
Everyone
walking.
Hi. Go. 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 Yes, go on. Go. Go. Keep going. Keep going. He's been kicked out early. Poor guy.
Didn't last long.
Okay. I heard Brennan running. Brennan, are you in the chat? You're in the chat? You're the only one in the chat. Say hey. Oh. You're in the chat, Brendan. Well, are you ready to discuss with you, me, and Brendan?
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk through this one.
Yeah. I
Not
feel like
spoiler on the rating, but I enjoy this one.
Oh, no. See, no, it's Hannah. Hannah's here. But Brendan said he's here too. Hello, good morning. I know Emily's not joining today, so.
Yeah, the time change on that is tough. Or the time zone difference is, can't blame her there.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, the amount she had gone to, pretty impressive.
It's pretty good.
But I'm sure we'll see you in the next one. I will quickly throw a link on my story because I forgot to do that today. So that if anyone doesn't know, we start at 11 Mountain Standard Time. Ariana, she will know that we are.
I thought that might be coming.
You know?
Well, I can start off kind of my overall thoughts then while you're getting that link tossed up
I
there.
would love to hear just, first things that pop in your mind, how you felt about it. Everyone,
I know.
You share too. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know there was some hesitation last time we finished up Dracula and we knew we were doing this, that it seemed like you thought I maybe wouldn't be as invested in this one. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Really?
It's a much easier read, I think, than Dracula and Sleepy Hollow, honestly, even though that was short. But it was just an easy, enjoyable one.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't thought through a rating yet, but it's not lower than a 4. It's for sure not lower. It got to work out some details, figure out where it slants in ahead of that.
Wow, that is really tremendous news, honestly.
I see you too. You've got like the TV show going on in the background there. Is that, you think that's biasing your thoughts on this one?
Honestly, so it's like a movie or a TV. Yeah. It's in between. It's like 4 hours.
Mini series.
Yeah. And I watched it a ton growing up. Brennan was making fun of me today because I was telling him like so much, like I was quoting it and I was like, I haven't seen this since I was probably like 8, 10, somewhere in there. So I definitely wore out that DVD in the past. But I don't know if it colored how I felt about the book.
Had you read the book before when you were younger?
No, okay. I just watched the show when I was younger. So I thought the book was fantastic, and I liked having these images of characters I have seen before. Like I had those images going into this, which I think made it more enjoyable. Yeah. But I'm surprised you liked it so much. Honestly.
I really enjoyed it. Did you read this one or listen to it?
I mostly listened, and I really liked listening to it. I don't know if it's because it's that age range type of story that like feels like it should be read to you. Like you're a kid again. Yeah. So I did listen to it. I don't think I listened to the same person you did.
Did you listen to the same one as Brendan? Because Brendan and I listened to the same one. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one we listened to was narrated by Rachel McAdams. I
Okay.
think like she very much has the right voice for it. Like I thought it was really, really well done. I know like the Pride and Prejudice version that I listened to is narrated by Karen Savage, and it's the same. Like her voice just feels perfect for the story.
That
Which
does
we've talked about that in other ones, that the narrator so much drives the success of an audiobook.
Yes. I
Makes
agree.
the experience.
Okay, I officially got it live. Sorry,
One.
team. So I wanted to look up who narrated, the version I read, just for prosperity's sake and all that.
I did want to also, as you're looking that up, show off the. I do have a physical copy of it from my grandma that I went and I'm borrowing her copy, even though I then listened to it. But it's a copy. I hold it up here.
It's so cool.
I was looking. I think it's a 1936 publication, and it's just like it. It smells like an old book. Like the pages feel fragile. It's, I don't know. For classics, especially, I love that. I've got a copy of Robin Hood that's the same way. It's like maybe the same publication year and everything. It's just feels right for a classic.
I have a much more recent version, but you can tell it's been well loved. And then when I opened it, I realized it was my sister's. So if she's watching this, I did steal it. Seacocks. So yes, it is something about like it being such an older book. And so the version I listened to was Kate Burton, and it was 100th anniversary, like new edition. So she read it, and then Margaret Atwood, who wrote Handmaid's Tale, she did the foreword, which was an incredible foreword in this edition. So yeah, that's the one I listened to, and I enjoyed it a lot too. So.
Did you read the foreword and stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Well, it was read to me, so I had
Sure.
Oh, Brendan has responded. Sorry, you guys. I'm back in it, and I'm on top of this now. I thought it was a 3. Just a 3? I feel like that's a little low. I'm going to be honest with you. Just a 3.
I'm with you there. I think it's low.
Yeah. Yes, I agree, Grace. I usually have a hard time with audiobooks, but I really enjoyed listening to this one. Hannah, what version did you listen to? Just out of curiosity, because it sounds like everyone who listened to it enjoyed listening to it, even though we did different versions.
Yeah, that's great that there's multiple versions out there that that we feel that positively about.
Yeah. Well, while you guys are sharing that, because I think Brendan listened to the same edition as you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I think it was just free on Audible.
So. Oh, very nice. I listened on Spotify. That's probably why I found a different one. Engrossing. Well, are you ready to talk all things Anne?
Absolutely.
All things Anne. She is a very iconic character and very beloved. Does anyone have any thoughts on why she's so beloved? Or do you feel like she's beloved? Do you love her? What do you like about her? What do you not like about her?
I feel like for me, I'm coming from a different perspective maybe than you are on this, because I didn't grow up watching the miniseries on repeat. Or, like, I have no previous exposure to the story.
Yeah.
I maybe could have picked out the red hair, like identified that just from being aware of literature, but that would have been a stretch. I definitely, after listening to it, can see why she would fall into being beloved.
Yeah.
Mostly just, I think there's an awful lot that gets captured really well in terms of childhood energy. Some of that is just fun. Like, I think it's well captured.
Yeah. I am with you there. I think what's so funny is like when I started listening to it, within I think the first like 4 chapters, I was like, she is so wonderful and annoying. Like she's so wonderfully annoying, you know, and it's that sense of childlikeness. And after I finished reading, one thing that came to my mind was like, I feel like she's like Matilda a little bit, right? Like an iconic, very smart child. But if that child was real, because you know that child is not this sweet little thing, kind of like Matilda is. And maybe there are variations, but in my mind, I'm like, the smart kid is annoying. Being in classrooms, being around children, and they can like get on your nerves and also be wonderful and be hilarious, and you know what I mean? So
I get where you're coming from, but I didn't find Anne annoying
at all. Okay, that
Oh.
can't be possible. Did anyone find Anne annoying?
I mean, I certainly see where like how you could. I just didn't. I think there's so much that she's approaching everything with the curiosity and imagination, and then the like the number of comments where she would be like excited about something and then just be like, I'm so glad I live in a world with whatever it was she's excited about. Like you get the gratitude mixed in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't find it annoying.
Yeah. Oh, quick note. I found it on Spotify. Someone made it a podcast. I think the narrator was Mary. And she had other people read. Oh, that's actually fun. I love that when they have different characters.
Multiple narrators is fun, yeah.
Yeah. She is very much like the outsider who succeeds, which I think is very classic character arc that people can connect with too. Yeah. Very smart, given a challenging circumstance, and still find success in a lot of ways. But I also think it's realistic because in the end, right, she doesn't pursue all those things she was so competitive about. At least at the end of book 1. I know she has other books. I'm not giving spoilers. She did the other books in the series too. Okay, and I think I'll probably continue to listen to them. I was going to ask everyone if they plan to enjoy more Anne of Green Gables media in some sort or continue the series. So, Jacob, do you know if you're going to?
Well, how many are there? 3 in the series?
I would have to check that. I can't remember.
Is it Anne of Avonlea and Anne of somewhere else?
I'll check for us really quick.
Okay. I probably will. I don't know if I will right away. We'll have to figure out kind of what our next steps are on our next book, but it's definitely one that, especially as an audiobook, is just a really easy story to listen to. And I guess maybe not so much if you found her annoying, but I think just kind of a book that as you're listening to it, like it just kind of makes you happy.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of them, apparently. There's up to 9.
So I probably won't read all 9, but I maybe would give the next one a go.
Yeah, the next 2 are very highly rated.
Okay.
It looks like. I definitely remember watching further into the show, and it was funny because at that age, I really liked watching Anne young, and because I was young, and I really liked her tenacity, and I really liked the enemies to lovers thing that was going on between her and Gilbert, the rivals thing. Are we surprised? And anyways, once we got to those later years, I think I checked out a lot. So I think maybe I'd be more interested in who Anne was as an adult.
So the miniseries covers more than just the first.
Yes. I think the first one covers through like the end of book 1, the one I have, and then they had the same actress come back, and they did her older, like older stories too. So I don't know how many there are of that either, and I know they came out with Anne with an E too. So there's a lot of media to consume, and I'll definitely be consuming it as well. Whether it's like, I also picked up, I'll show you guys everything today. I picked up the graphic novel as well, which I've never read, but I was like, oh, it could be pretty to see, and I don't know, see in a different light, another imagining of the world.
Especially because so much of her character is focused on the imagination and like her visual perception of the world.
Yeah.
Could be a fun graphic novel.
I hope so. I'll definitely give feedback to all of you once I read it. Oh, I found her annoying. Absolutely. I mean, I love that people also didn't find her annoying, but
Where do you fall on that? Yeah.
I do think she's annoying, but I also relate to her heavily. So it's like, Whatever she said, oh, what did she say? She's like, I'm in the depths of despair. I'm like, I'm her. She's me. I,
I
it's,
definitely could hear you using that one moving forward. Wouldn't be surprised to hear that crop up.
I think it's just she feels very deeply, and I think you and I have talked about this, but I'm like, oh, I can definitely understand these like very high highs and low lows that she feels. I'm like, I'm riding those waves with her. I get it.
And
And
maybe that's part of me. I don't know, liking her character or finding it less annoying is I don't feel like I maybe feel those extremes as much, and so it's more enjoyable to see it in a child.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
One of the quotes I was thinking about kind of along the lines of like her feeling high highs and low lows, but she feels so strongly for everything that she
Yeah.
does and is involved with. And she says like looking forward to things is half the pleasure of them. And like she's just so excited just to like be in it. And I also liked at one point they said she was as intense in her hatreds as her loves. And I was like, yeah, I just relate to her. I just feel like she feels so freely and so big.
Yeah.
And so I that is probably my favorite part about her. But you can't, I mean, she is also inherently a little annoying. A lot of intelligence sometimes comes with that second part, in my opinion. I'm with Jacob on this one. She has such a hard life before she came to Green Gables that I feel like that's just how she learned how to cope. That, I mean, oh my gosh, that makes me feel worse saying she's weird. Are you thinking her imagination or her just like
I think the appreciation,
yeah.
because I mean, it's the imagination. It's her enjoying the world around her, either like the reality of it or her imagination of it. But then, uh, like she's taking everything in so genuinely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of traits in that I admire, and
Mm-hmm.
so it makes it less annoying because she's not a. I think because it is so genuine. You know, she's not approaching it to do this to like put on an act. That's just her appreciating everything.
Yeah,
There's a like pureness to it that I think is the child element.
that's true. I think she did a great job like capturing a true child
Yeah.
and a child that really does have this like big imagination. And I'm sure if you've read anything about her, like our author, um, she I think like lived with grandparents, like her parent. I think she did lose her parents or something and lived with her grandparents. And so
Okay.
I think a lot of like herself is in Anne and also probably in Marilla and Matthew because they're
Mm.
much older caretakers. And I think that's what she experienced.
That would make sense knowing as well. Like it's all set Prince Edward Island. I think I saw that all but one of her books that she wrote are set in Prince Edward Island. And that's like she grew up in Canada and I think spent time there. I don't remember what province she grew up in exactly, but
Mm-hmm.
like that would make sense very much writing from her own experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like it, at least to a degree. I think she was annoying to me just at the beginning. But when you got used to that being her character and then you start to love her for her nonstop yapping, I agree. I think that is true because towards the end, spoiler, am I like just going way too ahead for us?
And go for it.
But towards the end, they have that moment where Rachel and Marilla are talking at the very end of the book about how like she's still so much like a child. What is it? I'll read the quote for you guys. There's a good deal of the child about her yet in some ways. And Marilla responds, there's a great deal more of the woman about her in others. And I think it just made me think towards the end of the book, like she doesn't talk as much. She doesn't have endless chatter to share with everybody. And she is so much more grown up in so many ways. And she's, I don't know, like becoming a grown up. And I hated it. I just think you spend so much time with her young. And I felt like a parent like listening to it because all of a sudden she's all grown up. And you're like, what happened? Why is she grown up? She was just a kid just the other day. So I think it did a good job presenting that too.
That's fair. I think part of that is also just as you write the story, it becomes less meaningful to continue to include that all the way through.
Yeah.
But definitely think about like real examples that people mellow a bit.
Yeah.
I see the sadness you're talking about though, because if you appreciate that about her when she's young, it's tough to see it go.
And then you have like Marilla, which I guess we can talk a little about like her relationship with Matthew and Marilla, but Marilla is so strict. She is trying to make her the best girl in her eyes that she can make her. And even her at that point, she's like, where's my chatterbox? You know, like where has my like little girl gone that I raised, you know? I think we all grow out of traits probably that are lovable. Or annoying and lovable. I got a little sad as she got older because her whimsy wasn't as prevalent towards the end. Yeah, see?
Whimsy, I think is a fantastic word for it there.
I think that is a great way to put it because she like is in the end very driven more in a scholastic way, and she's driven more to achieve, and it's less about her curiosity and like her just being so interested in things or her having a petty rivalry. Towards the end, she says she doesn't care about that anymore, right? She's given that up, but she's striving to be academically successful.
Well, and her responsibility changes. I think you can understand like where it comes from, but it still is tough to see the whimsy gone.
Yeah.
Lesson. Maybe it comes back. There's 8 more books.
We'll have to find out.
Read until the whimsy comes back.
We'll have to find out. Well, does anyone quickly, we'll break up before we get into more of her relationship with her caregivers. Does anyone have a favorite character they'd like to share or talk about? If you want to send one in the chat. Jacob, do you have a favorite character from the book? Have we already talked about her?
I think it would be between Anne and Matthew. I mean, like there's really not a lot of debate there. I don't think that Matthew's character. So much of the book is about Anne. I think it's tough to have a lot of favorites outside of her.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So Anne's definitely up there. Matthew, I really liked the relationship with Diana and their friendship. I thought was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it probably is Anne.
I think the more you talk about, like we've talked about Anne even today, I'm like, you know, you can't help but have some favoritism for her.
Yeah.
But I love Matthew. I think in the show he's represented even better to me than in the book because I think I got so sick of the oh well every single time. I'm like really? Every time we don't have. I get the idea of his demeanor, but in the show like you get to see his facial expressions and he got to be a little more like he wears his heart on his sleeve for her, despite having like. I don't know. I picture him just being very socially anxious and not being comfortable. So
it's just funny to me that we both enjoyed this and have completely different views on some of these. Like I really enjoyed his at the beginning of everything because it always took him by surprise on it. Like he's not somebody who is viewing the world in the same way. He seems like a much simpler person and is just he's experiencing it in his own way. And so then when she's coming in with all these questions, I think I appreciate him, like his patience in taking the time to consider it. And so it wasn't being dismissed. It was always, and then he'd go on to his answer. I really liked that about him. That right there is like one of the reasons I think I'm debating him as a favorite character.
Oh my gosh. My bad. I'm so sorry.
I appreciate the apology. No, I mean, that's great that we both are rating this as highly, but have such a variation.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because you can still picture slightly different characters than who someone else pictures when they read it. But sometimes at the beginning, especially when he picks her up from the train station, I'm like, oh my God, this is Brennan and I sometimes. She's just like, da 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 da. And he's like, uh-huh. Okay. All right. So I'm under the bus, Brendan. Well, Brendan shared his favorite, which is Matthew. So
Is that
Matthew.
just from an ability to relate, Brendan, or
Yeah,
that's what Grace is throwing at you here?
I love the process of Matthew realizing that Anne needed a dress and then trying to get her one. Oh my God, that chapter is one of the sweetest chapters. And I think it showed, like, even if you're reading it as a child, it shows you adults struggle with things too. And he like overcomes so much to make that moment special for her. Oh, I do love that chapter.
Matthew just moving up in the rankings.
See, yes, he is so caring for her from the beginning. Yeah, he loved her from the second he got her home for sure. And then
I think from before that, I think it's on the ride back.
On the ride back, he's like, she's staying.
I think it's all the questions and the like her view of it as they're going back through the big trees and everything.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's it right there.
Yeah. Good choices. Hannah, why did you choose Diana out of curiosity? Outside of Anne, yeah. If we were to take Anne out of the equation, yeah, why did you choose Diana? I'm curious. I like her as well. I think they have a very fun dynamic and a lot of loyalty to each other. And it's exactly how kid friendships are made. It's just like, hey, are we friends? Do you promise to just be my friend? So I liked that at the beginning too.
Well, not even just friends. She's like, do you want to be like my bosom friend now? Like we're locked in right here.
Like,
we just met. Like, blood oath right here. Come on.
I will say I'm also a little partial to Gilbert personally. I think he takes it very easy on Anne, and he is always, I think, really rooting for her.
Do you think your view of Gilbert is being biased by knowing more of the story?
Maybe.
Like knowing the story beyond the first one? Okay.
Yeah,
because I know you made a comment about Gilbert, I think just when this book got picked.
Yeah.
I feel like Gilbert did almost nothing in this book. He's just Gilbert.
I know. I think it must be like a childhood crush thing.
Okay. And so it's based on the TV show casting of Gilbert.
Based on the show. But I do think even through the book, like I don't know, he doesn't always, like, he teases her, but I don't think he bites when she's trying to really like induce a lot of hatred between them, a lot of animosity. I don't know.
I can't think of more than like 4 interactions between them.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We don't need to hear what else do you think? I think, same as Jacob, I enjoyed the relationship with Anne and how much she cared for Anne unconditionally. Mm-hmm.
I think she balances Anne well too. Like Anne loves giving everything these new names, and talks about the point when she lets Diana name something, and Diana named it like, I don't know, it was some just obvious description. I don't remember which one it was. But I think the amount that Diana like almost teaches Anne in terms of like getting to share the imagination, but also recognizing that not everybody is the same as her in that creativity and like approach to it.
Yeah. I know. And the part where they have the little book club cracked me up too, where she's like, well, I basically write everything for everybody because like they're just not creative enough. But I love how I think it also showed like little girls like getting along and like rooting for each other, which I thought was relevant because I think a lot of times women are pinned against each other a little bit, like, you know, in media maybe more so. And I thought like these girls had such a loving environment. And I love Anne even towards the end. She's just like, I've tried so hard to love Josie Pye. I made a heroic effort my whole life.
Well, everything she does is extreme.
Yes.
She doesn't make an effort. It's a heroic effort.
A heroic
the depths of despair. She's not sad. It's always extreme.
But I did like how it just showed like camaraderie. And it's like, oh, well, she specializes in murder stories. She does this. You know, I liked seeing that. I think
do enjoy that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to put this up. Gilbert was filler. Not for me. Not for me. Okay. Yeah, I guess he doesn't do as much. Wait. Hannah's waiting. Grace, I'm with you on Gilbert. I haven't watched the show since I was little, but I feel like I remember him having more of a presence in the show. Yes, I just started watching it over today, and I haven't gotten to parts where her and Gilbert have more interactions, but I think they did. I don't think it's like the one and done as it is in the book.
Maybe I won't watch the show then, so I don't have to disagree with you here.
Gilbert's great. Gilbert's great. He's patient and kind.
I do think so. We talked a little bit, I mean, just on the stuff with Gilbert, but you made the comment that by the end she says she doesn't care, but she doesn't really forgive him until that very end point. I got Quincy Reed in here. What do you think makes that relationship different, where she then doesn't forgive him the way that she does with the brooch situation with Morello, when she steals it and like goes to a room and says, I forgive you later, essentially, once you realize I forgive you.
Yeah. I have always thought about that. I don't know. Like, that's the part that really stuck with me, is she forgives these older ladies in her life who honestly treat her quite unfairly a few times, right? Like, Rachel comes in and meets her and is like, she's so homely. I can't believe you're going to keep this little ginger thing.
Yeah.
And I know she's like told she has to forgive her, but I believe in that moment she also does, forgive her for saying that. And then with it's Diana's grandma, right?
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
They go and jump on. Oh yeah, I think it's her Aunt Josephine. They go and jump on her bed, and like they get in huge trouble for that. But then they also she apologizes, and then they get along so well. I just find it so funny how easily she forgives the women in her life and like the families that she has stayed with who have treated her objectively unfairly, and then she just won't forgive Gilbert for like one time teasing her.
It's my initial thought on it is like with Aunt Josephine or with the brooch or the previous families, that it wasn't related to her appearance. Like, she's got a fair amount of insecurity in her, like in the hair color and all that. Mm-hmm. But then like that's what the first interaction was with Mrs. Lind.
Yeah.
Was her like it's almost the same as the stuff with Gilbert. I don't know what makes that a different situation for her to be able to forgive.
Does anyone have thoughts on that? I am curious also if anyone has thoughts on why she won't forgive him. I don't know. I don't know if it's because those are adults too, and a boy her age doing it. Like, she has an easier time holding a grudge against that, or is given the space to hold that grudge. And in a lot of the other situations, it's like she's got to say she's sorry, or
along those lines, had she been told, go forgive Gilbert, he shouldn't have said that, but go forgive him, kind of the same way that she was with Mrs. Lind. Does she then actually forgive him at that point when she's forced to say it? I don't know.
Yeah. Hannah said, I think Anne is just incredibly stubborn. She set her mind on not forgiving him, so she didn't. I think that's hard. And the moment where she realizes she wishes she would have taken his apology, like when he saves her saves her in the boat. And she's like, dang it. But I actually understand her stubbornness. She's like, I lost that moment, and I'm just not gonna try.
There's no going back.
She's like, I really wish I would have, but there's no fixing it now. But I did like how at the end, Marilla, who has been such a closed book in so many ways throughout the story, and is so she's also stubborn, she's also headstrong, but she kind of gives Anne a little anecdote from her life. And it's funny because it's Gilbert's dad, but gives her that story of I wish I could go back and make that right. I didn't take that opportunity, and it resonated with her. So
that's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Then by the end, she's like, you and Gilbert were talking an awful long time. Marilla knows what's up.
Is there any discussion of Marilla and Matthew having had kids before Anne?
No, well, you know they're siblings, right? Do you know that?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. How did I completely miss that?
I don't think they spell it out as much in the book as they do in the show. And probably like future works. They're siblings.
Let me just reprocess the whole story real quick.
Sorry. Everyone give Jacob a moment to sit with that. Yeah, they are siblings. If it helps you, the name is
I think that moves it up for me, because I think one of the things I didn't fully understand was their relationship, and like the amount of the amount of putting the raising of Anne onto Marilla, and the amount like Matthew just stayed out of it felt like a disconnect.
Like unhealthy if they were together.
Yeah. And I think I was chalking it up to a difference in era and Marilla raising Anne because she was a girl. Because Anne was a girl.
Yeah. I feel like there's some truth to that as in the era as well. But I'm sorry I shook everyone's day up, because even Brennan, I'm sitting.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, they are siblings, but yeah, that's kind of, I think that would make you enjoy their characters more, knowing that, like you said, because he kind of goes behind Marilla's back sometimes to do things, which I think he should do. Like, I think he's doing the right thing. But, it's different than a couple, like, trying to work on something together.
And there's a comment about him having, like, never gone upstairs in the house. Like, that makes sense, too. And then it makes more sense.
And they had a part where I think they discuss maybe how freaked out he is by women, kind of like being trapped in conversations with women. But yeah, I picture him being like having crippling social anxiety and never having tried it any other way than the way he does it.
Wow.
See, I think
I fully missed that.
It's not, I don't think it's like black and white. Like, they don't just spell it out for you. It took me a while to figure it out. Yeah, I think they mentioned at the beginning, but then not again until the end. Yeah. Sorry to throw that one on you. Wow. In the meantime, while Jacob, gets his head around that, reads the first few pages again. I do want to hear your opinion on if you rather be divinely beautiful, dazzlingly clever, or angelically good. I'll type it up for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try and, like, just like you're saying, reread the first chapter and just see where I just missed it or something. I do like that question. I'm pretty sure that comes up on the ride from the train station with Matthew.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same. Like, everything happens in extremes. It's not just beautiful, clever, or good. It's like, how far can I push this?
Yes. It's so funny. I'll put it up here in case anyone wants to see it, think about it for a minute. It is so funny. And she's so funny about so many things. Again, like a child would be. I love when she's like, the next best thing to being beautiful myself is having a beautiful best friend. Is having the most beautiful best friend I could have, which I just found so funny. I honestly was laughing out loud sometimes with Anne's thoughts during this book.
On how much value she puts into having a name like Anne with an E is just, it's so much prettier than Anne without. And
which is also funny. I love how she, like, because it does kind of make sense, because they're like, well, I'm not spelling it. It's like, but when you say someone's name, you're picturing their name in your head, and you need to know how my name is spelled. So when you're picturing me in your head, it's correct. I just was like, well, Kind of makes sense. I get it.
I love too on the name stuff when she starts off and she's like, "What's your name?" And she's like, "You can call me Cordelia." I'm gonna go somewhere completely different because I like that name better.
Yes.
It just
But
feels so much like a kid again.
yes, exactly. Because my mom always tells a story, but about my sister, but she like loved Little Mermaid, and for a week she wouldn't respond to anything but Ariel.
It's a solid name. I mean, can't blame
Carly,
her.
Carly, Ariel. Yes, yes. What would you say? Got to stay in character, but it's so real, so childlike and true. Well, what would you want to be, Jacob? Divinely beautiful, dazzlingly clever, angelically good.
Maybe it's the word dazzlingly that's pulling me, but I think I'd go clever on it. If it was just beautiful, clever, or good, maybe more debate, but dazzlingly clever, it's got
Dazzling.
to be one.
Oh, I know that's a hard one to turn down.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what being angelically good was like. That's a pull for me. Just like, what would that be like? Can't quite imagine. Divinely beautiful. Great words. I don't know. I feel like going with clever like everyone else would be lame of me because I think everyone would want to be clever. Brendan would like to be dazzlingly clever, specifically. So would Hannah.
Dazzlingly clever. It just rolls off the tongue.
It does, doesn't it?
Really, they all do.
All three.
I did really appreciate using these three as the example. Some of the word choice throughout the book was just fun.
Yeah.
Things being scrumptious and splendid, and
yeah,
I very much enjoyed that.
That is very true. She has like a beautiful vocabulary. Yeah. And it does make it feel more magical, especially like a little about the setting. Like, I need to go there now. Like, after reading this, I'm like, when am I going to get to go to Prince Edward Island to get to see these places? And like, it's just so lovable and quaint, but also magical. Like, it really is all of that. Picturing her growing up. Sorry.
I think
we have a late submission. Hold on. Oh no.
I think we can just move past those.
Yeah, let's move on. Sorry. Anyways.
I think the setting is an interesting part to bring up because almost the same as what we talked about in Sleepy Hollow, there's a like mysticism of the Northeast. Mm-hmm. And I think Prince Edward Island probably falls into that as well, that you've got the like phenomenal fall colors and they're all old forests, and there's just I don't think that Sleepy Hollow or this story work the same way if they're set in Utah or like Arizona. I don't think you can write the same story. I'm sure there are things that are beautiful and you can appreciate it all the description that's included, but not in the same way as the Northeast there. It definitely does make me want to visit. I don't know about Prince Edward Island specifically, but just the Northeast of North America.
It is interesting to think about, like, it meant so much to her. And like you said, she's so appreciative, but she also like captures all these things. And towards the end, when they're studying for that big test to get these awards or get scholarships, and she's done, I think, or maybe they're about to, she's just like, I'm just thinking about like the violets blooming in Anne of Green Gables. Like, that's like, if I go home and I get to see that and experience that, like, that's what I'm thinking about right now. And I was like, oh, it's just so beautiful. And like the simple things in life, and her being such a complex character, but still being grounded in those things, which maybe comes from how Marilla tried to bring her up, with a mix of Matthew also always being like, she's the best of the best and she's going to shoot for the stars and she's going to have her puff sleeves and,
I don't know if it is the raising though, because when she first gets there and they set her in her room and she's talking about the cherry tree outside of her window, like that, I think it's her appreciation and gratitude, like the gratitude view of life.
But how did she have that? Like, after, like, she, as we've acknowledged, like, she's a very difficult upbringing. She's had a lot of difficult experiences. How is she so appreciative and happy? She has a great disposition, truly. She's a temper, but she's got a good disposition.
I think a lot of it's just mindset, but I think it's, yeah, how do you get to that mindset? How do you cultivate that? I don't know.
And Hannah did say she agreed with the description, the descriptive language.
I honestly would be interested to read more of her writing, not even the other things about Anne, but if she wrote 9 books about Anne, she wrote another however many about other things, other people. I'd be curious to read some of those too.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed the writing.
I need to just go there. Have my Anne of Green Gables experience.
There is a museum, and you can visit the farm that it's based on, that Green Gables is based on.
Gotta go there.
So
Stop.
Put it on the list. Got the experience ready for you.
Put it on the list. Well, does anyone have any final thoughts on this or thoughts about any characters? I'm also going to say I think Marilla is an underrated character a little bit, because I think a lot of things Anne does are like Marilla, like things she wishes she could be like, or she listens and laughs, but then tells her like, leave God out of it. But yeah, that's spot on. Like, you've got it figured out. I think she's a harsh character, but I also think like she loves her so much. And I love the end where or the part where Anne gets hurt and she sees Mr. Barry carrying her over. And I did write it, but like Anne was dearer to her than anything on earth. Like in that moment, she realized, I don't just love her. I don't just like her. I don't just love her. Like, she's the dearest thing in my life. And I'm like, weeping over there. Got teary-eyed over it. Just saying.
I think with Anne's personality too, if Marilla and Matthew were both like Matthew and they were just supportive and going to kind of let her like be imaginative, I don't know the rest of that sentence. She needed some boundary. Like there needed some structure in her life. I think Marilla provides that in a way that like allows her to still be imaginative but also grow up.
Yeah. I also didn't realize they were Canadian until I read the book. So I watched the show and everything, and I didn't realize this was Canadian. Propaganda.
Propaganda.
No, but I never realized that. Anyways. Now I know. Canada's lovely. Sounds beautiful. And I loved the chapter names. Just like thoughts here. Sorry, you guys. I'm throwing a couple randoms in, but I love that. Like, bring chapter names back. You know? No?
Are you reading books that don't have chapter names? They're just chapter 1, 2, 3?
Yeah. All the time. What are you talking about?
I don't know. The other book I'm reading right now has chapter names in it.
They don't always, Jakey. They don't always.
Golly. First I found out they're siblings, and now we're getting rid of chapter names in books? What a day.
Jacob's going to have to go take a lay down after this. A lie down.
To reevaluate the world.
Yeah. Feels like the book should have been called Anne of Green Gables. Eh? Oh, hey. I'm so sorry. See, I do have a bit of an Anne brain. I was like, I'm on a different page. I've already left whatever we're talking about here. They could have. They didn't really feel Canadian. It didn't feel different. But it's also an older story. I don't know.
I also don't know that Canadian would be all that different than if this was set in Maine.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you expect the changes to be?
It's a different language.
A little more French mixed in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're in a different province, but.
There you go. Well, everybody, thank you for being here today. Do you have any final thoughts, Jakey, that you wanted to share? Thoughts, feelings?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely want to read more of her writing, whether or not it's more stuff of Anne, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think, like we talked about, most of the traits and things that I enjoyed about this are probably from when she's younger.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to read more of her writing, just with the description and word choice and everything.
Yeah. I do think the end is like, again, it's like a sadder part because she's losing her childlikeness. And then that's where a lot of the hard parts of the book come. Like Matthew, you didn't read it. Why are you here? Spoiler. But Matthew passes away. Jacob, don't. And then like her giving up her scholarship to stay with Marilla. You know, like it's the harder, maybe more like real life grown up parts. And I just love the parts where they're playing at being grown up, I think is what I love. Like when she brings Diana over for tea and they pretend to talk about, you know, like the way they've heard older women talk. And like,
and then she gets excited about something else and loses it.
Yeah. And they're off to do whatever. But yeah, it definitely very well captured being a kid. To me.
I would agree.
Well, I guess we haven't thought about doing another book, but we've got a few strong fans here. Anybody want to do another book or have suggestions for another book? This was a fall book club, and we are unfortunately headed towards winter.
I think we just start a new one that's a winter book club.
Winter.
This one's done. Move it, throw it out.
We're done here.
And then winter book club.
We should. Anyone have ideas? Do we want it to be classic still? What are you thinking?
My vote would be classics, yeah. I think we're 2.5 for 3.
Wow. What an inspiring idea, Brendan.
It's
something winter. Good. Wow. Inspired. Are we singing any classics or what's the theme? I don't know. Do you have another theme in mind? Uzda? See, I'm going to say no to this. There are way too many renditions of this.
It'd be nice to read something that's winter, but not necessarily Christmas. Although maybe that's January, and December we do something that is Christmas.
That's true. I know it's a classic. I don't think I like A Christmas Carol.
I don't really know it.
You haven't seen, like, they've made 85 versions of it.
This has been great. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. A big Dickens hater. See, we just don't need to give him the time of day. Anyways, if you guys come up with ideas, you can absolutely send them my way in whatever capacity you'd like.
I would think we probably wouldn't do this. I'm trying to think through our dates here. I think, it just gets a little tougher with holidays and everything, but maybe that's nice to pick a shorter one or one that we know a bit more. Harry Potter, we have read it before. We haven't, but I assume you've read it.
Oh, like in my life, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you meant like we've already read it together, and I was like, I don't remember.
No.
See,
I think I've read the series 6 or 7 times, though.
Oh. Okay.
It was yearly for a little bit.
Yeah, like there are other books out there.
I suppose.
This is just turning into me dogging on everybody's choices.
We'll have to come up with something. We'll put out another poll and get some choices rolling.
Yep. Send it. You can still comment your votes, and we can try and put those together in some capacity. Well, thank you for being here, everybody. I feel like I've monopolized your day, but thank you for being here and talking about Anne with us. I think this is my favorite book we've read, so I'm happy that we got to read it.
I think I like Sleepy Hollow better than this, but not by a lot.
Wow. This is number 1.
I think they're both 4.5s for me.
Neck and neck. So it's like a 4.75 for Sleepy Hollow then.
At the point that we're doing quarter points, we should have a scale that's not out of 5.
We need to move on, and he's gonna pull out a spreadsheet. We have to get off, you guys. Gotta get out of here. Well, it's been fabulous chatting with all of you. We will come in with some ideas soon for maybe some winter book picks. So thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Have a great Sunday. Bye, Jakey. Also, you look so professional today. Loved it. Thanks for taking it seriously. Okay. Bye, everyone.